Krásný dobrý den, já vás zdravím u dalšího videa. Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at how to say to put in Czech. One of you suggested this topic and today I am going to show you common Czech verbs that we can use to translate the verb to put. The verb put in English, it's quite universal and very frequent. In Czech, we have the perfect candidate to pair up with this, and that is the verb dát or dávat. Dát is perfective, dávat is imperfective. Very common. But we could also use položit, postavit, strčit, umístit, or vložit in certain context. Let's start with something easy. How would you say in Czech, put the keys on the table? I'll let you think. Let's see our options. Jdeme na to. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. I'm covering this part on purpose for now. In this video, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I will go over 6 phrases that contain the verb put in English, and we can see what options we have in Czech. And as we go, I will be explaining a little bit more about those verbs in Czech. So you will learn on the go. Now, how would you translate this sentence? Put the keys on the table. Klíče na stůl. Or we can also change the word order. We could say klíče dej na stůl. Klíče dej na stůl. That's the perfect option. The verb dát is quite universal. It's neutral. You can rarely go wrong with this one when you translate the verb put. Except it's a bit dull because it's used so much. Well, in spoken Czech, this is absolutely fine. However, if you want it to be a little bit more original, it's good to change it up a little bit, especially in written form. So if you read a book, you would not find dej and dát all the time. You would have some other alternatives. I also mentioned we could say dej klíče na stůl. This lesson is not going to be about word order. I want to focus on the verbs. What else could we put here? Our other option would be polož, from the verb položit. Klíče polož na stůl. The verb is položit, and that also works out perfectly. Položit means to lay something horizontally. So if you have a flat object that you can lay on top of something, then you can use položit. Polož in this case, which is the imperative. Klíče polož na stůl. If someone's saying, I don't know where I put my keys, you could say in spoken Czech perfectly fine, nevím, kam jsem dala klíče. Nebo nevím, kam jsem dal klíče. Or you could say, nevím, kam jsem položil klíče. Nevím, kam jsem položila klíče. What about postavit? Postavit doesn't work. Postav, from the verb postavit, it doesn't work here. Postavit refers to a position upwards, so vertically. Položit a postavit. You can imagine that putting keys vertically on the table is not possible or strange. So this is out of the question. Let's see another sentence. Put the bottle on the table. Láhev is a bottle. It could also be láhev without the accent. They're both used. Na stůl, we already know that. Now, what could we put? We could use the verb dát again. Láhev dej na stůl. Like I said, we can never go wrong with this one. Almost never. Láhev dej na stůl. Perfect. But we want something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more specific. We could go with postavit. Postav. That would be the imperative. Láhev postav na stůl. That is the perfect spot here. Postavit. Dát works, postavit works. What about položit? Now you know that if we said láhev polož na stůl, it would indicate that you have to lay the bottle on the table, which is strange. Unless we really need to lay it down because something could go wrong if the liquid moves in a different position, for example. So remember that položit means to lay horizontally, and postavit means to place vertically, upright. Here's another sentence. Put Anička in the bed. Anička referring to a baby, a toddler maybe. You imagine that you're gonna grab the baby and put it safely in its bed. Last time we had diminutives. Postýlka is the diminutive of postel. We could say dej Aničku do postýlky, of course. That one is fine. Dej Aničku do postýlky. Another option would also be, imagine that you're putting the baby like this. Baby is maybe already sleeping, but it's definitely in a horizontal position. So what would we say? We would use polož from položit. This is emphasizing that we are going to lay her down in her bed. If we say postav, we know that that would not work unless we want to place the baby in the bed and the baby needs to be standing. In that case, it would be okay, but it sounds a bit weird. Postav Aničku do postýlky. Now I want to introduce another verb, something that we haven't talked about yet, and that would be strč. Strč. The verb is strčit. Now I wrote it in blue, which means it would be correct, but it's not the best option. Strč Aničku do postýlky. That would mean something like shove her in the bed. That's not nice. Strčit is a very common verb that we use for a quick movement. When we put something somewhere, either quickly with force, or if we sneak it in. So it's a quick or a powerful movement, and we probably wouldn't want to use it here. That would not sound very good. By the way, do you know the Czech tongue twister strč prst skrz krk, the famous sentence that has no vowels? There is this verb in it. Put the finger through your throat, strč prst skrz krk. The fourth sentence is, she put the money in the envelope. Something, something. Peníze do obálky. Peníze do obálky. Our safe bet is the verb dát, of course. The past tense would be dala. Dala, without the accent. Dala peníze do obálky. Now, what about the verb strčit that we just saw? Strčila peníze do obálky could actually work. Strčila peníze do obálky means she either slipped the money inside the envelope in secret or shoved the money in the envelope, or kind of quickly, like this. Keep in mind that this verb is very informal. You cannot use it in every situation. The movement itself is kind of informal too, shoving or putting something in secret. I have a perfect candidate for this sentence, and that would be vložit. Vložila. The verb vložit means to insert. V in Czech often means to put inside. Vložit is to put inside, to insert. Vložila peníze do obálky is very good. It's probably not used that much in spoken Czech. If you told someone vlož peníze do obálky, it sounds a bit formal. Remember that in spoken Czech, in informal Czech, we just go with dát or sometimes strčit if we want to emphasize that the movement is quick or in secret. You understand why we cannot say položila peníze do obálky. The money is not lying down in the envelope. Postavila peníze also doesn't work. And we haven't even spoken about this verb's counterpart, the imperfective version, dávat. Dávat is used when we talk about a process, something it took some time. For example, here, if you said dávala peníze do obálky from dávat, it means that she was putting the money in the envelope and maybe this action was interrupted. Když dávala peníze do obálky, přišel jsem domů. Maybe she was putting the money in the envelope and then I saw where she was hiding it. So it would be possible, but it would mean that the movement was slow. It was a process and there is a reason behind it. Our next sentence is about putting a SIM card into the phone. I already put the SIM card into the phone. Už jsem simku or SIM kartu do telefonu. It's possible to change the word order. This is one of the options that I thought was pretty good. Our first option is, of course, dala or dal. We cannot go wrong with that. dala do telefonu. By the way, SIM kartu is a little bit too formal. In Czech, we often use simka or simku in the accusative case, and that's perfect for casual Czech. Už jsem simku dala do telefonu. And we could go with vložil or vložila that we just saw. Vložit is to insert and it would be perfect here. But in casual Czech, it may sound too proper, too much. But if you read instructions, insert or put the SIM card into the phone, it would say vložte SIM kartu do telefonu. Well, in English, it wouldn't say put the SIM card into the phone if it was official or formal. What about strčit? Strčit, to shove. Už jsem simku strčila do telefonu. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would be very, very informal. It could work too. And you know that položil do telefonu, postavil do telefonu is out of the question. I have been avoiding one verb. Maybe it's time to use it. Let's see. Putting 3 more chairs here won't be a problem. Sem další 3 židle nebude problém. We have one safe option, you know which one that is, and that would be dát. Dát sem další 3 židle, meaning to put 3 more chairs. We need to use the infinitive here in Czech. Dát sem další 3 židle nebude problém. What else can we say? Strčit sem další 3 židle. Okay, maybe. Maybe if you have a storage and you have some chairs and you don't know where to put them, it would be okay to say strčit. Remember, it's informal language and also meaning specifically shoving something somewhere. So yes, if you were talking about storage, which is kind of disorganized, then strčit is not a problem either. To nebude problém. And we could use this specific verb that I haven't used yet. Umístit. That would be in a different situation. Umístit means to place or to situate. So for example, if you have rows of chairs, they're already in front of the stage, for example, and you need to put 3 more chairs, then umístit is a good option. It's a little bit formal. Compared to dát, it is formal, but it's a good verb here. Umístit means to place something somewhere, as in situate. You think it through where you're going to place, where you're going to put this object. For example, when you move furniture to change the living room, umístit něco někam, why not? That would be good. Now, let's sum it up. We have seen these 6 verbs. All these verbs can mean to put. Dát is the most similar to the English put because it's universal. So this is neutral and also universal. Neutral meaning it's not formal and it's not informal. We know that it's our friend. Dát works almost every time, except if we want to make it sound a little bit more interesting. Položit means to put horizontally. Položit. Postavit is to put vertically. Vložit. Vložit means to insert. Vložit peníze do obálky. Strčit is very informal. It means to put quickly or with force, to shove or slip in. It is informal. And umístit is more about positioning, situating something, and it's formal. Now let's do a tiny test. The small girl Anička is baking with her mom and there's fresh dough and her mom says, Aničko, nejez to těsto. Don't eat the dough. A co udělala Anička? Anička si rychle těsto do pusy. She quickly put the dough into her mouth. So what would work there? We could say, Anička si těsto rychle dala do pusy. Yes. Like we said, it is neutral, it is universal. Položila do pusy, it's not good. Postavila do pusy is even worse. Vložila do pusy, it's so official. It sounds as if it was the proper way to do something, to eat something. So also not good in this situation. Strčit, however, is great. A Anička si těsto rychle strčila do pusy. She shoved it in her mouth. Umístila do pusy, also a little off. I hope this summary helped. Now we're gonna work with 5 more sentences. In this exercise, you see 5 sentences and your task will be to choose the right verb. Right now, you don't see any options. That's the first stage. It depends how you're comfortable with this. You can either stay here and try to figure this on your own. We usually have more than one option per sentence. And if it's too difficult, then just wait a second and I will give you a hint. You will have options from which to pick. Ready? Pause the video to have enough time to work on this. First without help. And if it's too difficult, let's wait for this help. And now let's see our correct options. Číslo 1. You can put the wardrobe here. Tu skříň můžete dát sem. Dát is perfect. Tu skříň můžete postavit sem, because it's vertical. Postavit sem. Umístit sem is also good. Position. It would be quite formal. Číslo 2. He put the money in his pocket. Peníze si dal do kapsy, of course. Peníze si strčil do kapsy. Perfect. Every time we talk about something in the pockets, it often goes with the verb strčit, because it's a quick movement, slipping something in. Our hands also. Strčit ruce do kapes. That's pretty much it. Číslo 3. She put her hand on his shoulder. Dala mu ruku na rameno, of course. Or položila. Položila mu ruku na rameno, because it is a horizontal position. Placing a hand on his shoulder. Umístila mu ruku na rameno is a bit strange. Umístit is more about objects, about moving furniture and positioning certain objects. Put the baking pan with the buns in the oven. This is a recipe, so we use the imperative in Czech. Pekáč s buchtami dáme do trouby. Perfect. Vložíme do trouby. Also perfect. If we need it to sound more formal, like in a recipe. Položíme do trouby is not bad. Strčíme do trouby. Yes, but that would be very, very informal. A číslo 5. We always put the spoons here. Lžíce se vždycky dávají sem. I use the imperfective form, so you can also see that dávat is used for something repetitive. Lžíce se vždycky pokládají sem would mean that you maybe lay them on the table, like you're pointing at the place where you're supposed to place the spoons. Maybe, yes. But if you are talking about where to put the spoons in your drawer, how to organize your drawer, then dávají is fine. Umístují, too official. Also, if you use umístit or umísťovat, it means that you want it to have a certain function. You want to put it there because of something, and usually for other people to see it. So if you're talking about placing spoons, positioning spoons in the drawer, maybe not the best verb. Okay, that's all from me. I hope this video cleared things up. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions for more topics. Mějte se krásně, ahoj!